Well, this is a real treat for me to be here chatting with you guys from Koh Lanta, Thailand. It's a beautiful day here, and I've just finished a 2-day workshop. Actually, there was the possibility of 3 days workshop in Bangkok with the Big Gig, hosted by Musical Futures and music teachers in international schools. It's my second one that I've done. I also did the one in Kobe, Japan last year. Really, just such an amazing experience for music teachers to experience music, play music together, really enjoy being music students for a couple of days. And it's a great refresher in that sense, but also great resources available through Musical Futures. And the ideas that we shared, we chatted about not just the quote-unquote basics of how to get kids to play music and love playing music, but also we chatted about implications of AI on music and music education. Some great ideas came out about ways to use Suno as a resource rather than as a quote-unquote threat. Some really great educators. Anna Gower was ultimately the host of the Big Gig at St. Andrew's International School in Bangkok. Chris Kulma was there as a representative of Musical Futures as well. They are the co-directors currently. Chris, also the director of Music Teachers in International Schools, MTIIS, and Beginner Orchestra. I've spoken with Chris a couple of times here on Our Mind on Music. I've spoken with Anna here as well. I also met an educator, Steve Jackman, who was helping to host the sessions during the Big Gig. Lots of great knowledge there, especially when it came to the technology that we use in music education and more specifically AI recently. We talked a lot about Samuel Wright's work with the 10 pathways of technology in music education. I've spoken with Samuel here as well. I will leave links in the description to this episode. Well, this episode really is taking me all over the place. I've just returned from an AMI festival in Shanghai at the Shanghai American School in Pudong, Shanghai. AMI is AMIS, the Association for Music in International Schools, where I was lucky enough to be able to attend and participate in the mixed choral honor choir for elementary school and middle school at the Shanghai American School. That was the first ever AMI elementary school choir to participate in a festival, and I was really proud to be able to be part of that. I'm back in Shenzhen now, back at Shekou International School. So let's talk a little bit about Musical Futures. What is Musical Futures? How did it get started? Musical Futures was launched in the UK in 2003 by the Paul Hamlin Foundation. The basic idea of this was to find ways to give students voice and choice in their learning of music. After about a year of consultation, a 2-year research program called Pathfinder started, which incorporated music services, schools, universities, professional musicians, and community organizations. Professor Lucy Green was interested in the way that professional musicians often learn and create music through informal means. Informal learning means that there is very little structure from an outside source, if any at all. Non-formal learning and teaching includes some structure, but integrates a large amount of that informal learning format. In informal learning situations, the musicians themselves choose the repertoire that they're going to engage with, they tend to prioritize playing and actual engagement over theory and notation. Just to be clear, this is not me saying something negative about any one of these things. I learned to love music through formal learning and teaching, and I think there's a place for all of these things at given times. What I love about the Big Gig and Musical Futures is the idea of integrating all of these based on the need at the moment. For example, in my classes, students choose a large percentage of the repertoire that they play. I try as much as possible to only talk about music notation and theory, in as much as they will support our learning and playing. All of these things are intended to respond to the learner's needs and the teacher's needs at a given time based on trying to play music together and loving the process of learning within that format. Professor Lucy Green's work led to an approach that emphasizes hands-on, learner-led music making, often starting with music genres and songs that students already know and love. It prioritizes practical engagement.
That one of your research projects involve informal music learning practice?
That's driven my work for many, many years, and it ended up about 10 or 15 years ago doing a study of how popular musicians learn. And from that study I took the main characteristics of their learning practices and adopted them and adapted them for the school classroom. It was based on 5 things. One, that they learn by choosing their own music. Secondly, they learn by playing by ear. Thirdly, they work both by themselves and with friends. And fourthly, because of all this way of learning, their learning tends to be idiosyncratic, it's very personal, it's haphazard, it's not structured in the kind of progressive way that we normally try to structure music learning in formal environments. And also it often takes place without any teacher or adult or anybody who is able to give them expert help. And fifthly, they tend to integrate all the skills of listening, composing, performing and improvising all the way through the learning process.
By 2006, there were a series of teacher resources that were made available free of charge. In 2021, the program launched Musical Futures Online and now includes Musical Futures International. The Big Gig is an event organized by Musical Futures International, and it's designed for music teachers as a conference and professional development opportunity. What I love about them is, I suppose I'll say, they walk the talk. So if we're talking about students having voice and choice in what they do in the classroom, Musical Futures and the Big Gig models this completely. Practical, hands-on music making opportunities for music teachers. When I first walked into the Big Gig in Kobe, Japan last year, before we really said anything, Chris Kulma said to the group, okay, we're going to play a song together. Grab an instrument that you don't already know how to play, and let's try. Why would we do that? Well, for many of us, that's what our classes start off with. I have general music classes here at this school. They may have never had any experience with music. So that's where I start. Basically, what I tell all of my students is wherever you are with the instrument that you choose, that's where we start. And the goal is to move you forward from that point. Some of my students have been practicing their chosen instrument for years and have a high level of experience and capability on that instrument. Same. I'll take you from where you are and we'll move forward from that point. The Big Gig as a professional development opportunity does exactly that. So, for example, if a teacher plays guitar, they can choose that instrument and they can play that instrument at a level that is appropriate for their experience. As we're a room full of music teachers at the Big Gig, it's incredible to watch these amazing brass players picking up a violin for the first time and not knowing how to hold the bow. So, just play. The idea of just play is to introduce students at any level to the fact that they can play and they can sing. The idea of Just Play is to give enough structure so that when a student reaches their point where they might become frustrated or they might need a little support to keep going, you give it to them. We emphasize playing. We're not emphasizing musical notation or theory unless they are needed to move the practical skills forward. Play along. Students try to play the best that they can along with a song that they have chosen. Now that might sound daunting and even impossible, but it's not. There are resources that can be used. For example, key cards that you can put on a keyboard, a piano with standard sized keys, and it shows you where to put your fingers. There are lots of resources like that. There are chord charts that show which fingers you're going to use and where you're going to put them on the frets. Play a video where, for example, the drum parts will be shown instead of in standard notation, so you have to learn what a quarter note is and what a half note is, etc. It'll show a hi-hat in a grid and a snare drum and a kick drum, and anyone really could follow along with those visuals with a little bit of explanation to get started. Some people ask me, well, what about the students who already play and can already read music? The idea isn't to take away the tools that students can use. The idea is wherever a student is, whether they're a beginner or advanced, I always tell my students, I'll take you from where you are and we'll move you forward from that point. So of course, if a student plays the piano and can read chords and look at notation and do that, I don't tell them, you're not allowed to look it up. The idea is to allow everybody, in whatever way makes sense at that moment, to move forward and to play music hands-on. When you're teaching ensemble skills and you're trying to get students to arrange rhythms together, collaboration, patience, listening, it all comes through. So Recreate is where students use technology like GarageBand or the Roland Era compact synthesizers or BandLab or Soundtrap. The key here, again, is let students explore. With Recreate, you don't have an empty page. You have an idea already. And as students get more comfortable with the technology, very often they will ask me, oh, can I add a hi-hat part? Or I found this really cool sound. Can I add that in? My answer is almost always yes. Unless there's a really specific reason, why would I say no to them experimenting and finding their own creativity with this? Just play, play now, beats, everyone can play, Recreate, all of that. Those are tools that help us to meet this end of students wanting to play music, knowing how great it feels to play and learn music, working together to achieve that, and knowing that they can do it. I guess in short, when I talk about musical futures, when I talk about the big gig, these are, I think, fantastic resources for music teachers and non-music teachers to teach all of these music skills and transferable skills like collaboration. I really think it's worth looking into if you haven't already. Check it out. You know, there's a lot of really interesting stuff here. What all of these educators bring in terms of their knowledge and experience here at the big gig in Bangkok, last year in Kobe. There are big gig professional development opportunities all over in Asia and Australia, New Zealand. There are lots of opportunities out there. So if you're a music educator and you'd like to know more about that, feel free to contact me. The email is ourmindonmusic@gmail.com. You can leave a comment in the comment section for this episode. I'd be happy to share more information if you're interested in learning more about that. So let's take a look at what we did at the big gig. If you have questions or comments, please do let me know. Thank you.
Ukulele spots which tell you the arrangements of the sequences and strong crossing sheets which they can come up
I've already been doing this type of teaching for a long time. And what I really like to do is just learn more about the resources and the types of things, how to do this in ways that I'm not already doing it, expanding what I already do.
I actually did my training with Musical Futures in the UK many years ago, back in 2012. We do Musical Futures at our school, and yeah, having a great time, looking to learn more stuff and take away lots more ideas.
I'm really hoping to get some more skills just with like the electronic music especially, and also just with the whole musical future.
From the big gig Bangkok this year, I'm expecting to bring some practical, hands-on lessons and activities back to my school in Doha. A former colleague of mine did a training in Kuala Lumpur and recommended that I come to this one, and I've been following the big gig, trying to find the best opportunity for me to come, and this was it.
Just mixing with other like-minded musicians and just seeing what the younger generation are up to now, and I want to pass that on to the younger generation that I teach.
Coming Big Gig Bangkok, I was here last year, so this is my second time doing it. It was fantastic last year for just getting new ideas, meeting other teachers, seeing how people implement things, seeing how people do what you do but differently, to give you an idea of how you can change things up and keep it fresh. This year, because I'm moving on to the next level, now that it's my second year, it's being able to see maybe how we can develop things going forward, so not just one-off lessons, but how do I turn this into a series of lessons.
A more enhanced understanding of electronic music pedagogy, and it really embed more up-to-date equipment within a classroom practice situation, and how to do that without being in control of everything.
Exchanging insights, approaches, getting resources, ideas. We just finished our first session and my mind is already buzzing with all the things that I can implement.
Actually, new techniques, new possibilities, innovating ideas for none the common academical music teaching, new technologies usage in the classroom. It's been really awesome.